It's the latest news from the green room. We stole Danny Gokey's green card. The best way to get through a Monday. Brandon Lake when that city calls. Let's laugh together. Let's cry together. The only way for survival. It all starts here at the Green Room Revival.
Just to stand. WWE fans trying to get Sasha back into this. I think Sasha needs the WWE version.
No, it's well, everyone coming in from the top ring. It's the Spanx Spectacular, the Sizzle Sister, the back porch barn burner, the one and only Lisa Harper.
I like all those names. Yeah, I was just working really hard. I had a new little breakdance routine with Leviticus. I think that's why I barged in so loud. I didn't think it would work, but it was pretty synergistic.
A breakdance routine, is that like, how do you mean that?
Well, I was teasing, but
everyone knows it's complicated.
Some of the times you've teased me, and I feel like you've dissed my rhythmic capacity just a little bit, which hurt my feelings.
You don't have to be beautiful.
Because I think as a wannabe theologian, I really do think I have the capacity for public dance.
You know what actually is happening is you're enjoying my memes because every time I meme you, there's more reveal about your rhythmic abilities.
I love you.
Because every time I meme something.
Your memes make me laugh so hard. But it is usually a very old, very unrhythmic woman, and so I do see some similarities, but I'm working on it. Missy and I are actually taking a hip hop class.
What, really? Well, I was about to say white boys can jump, and
old
and
white
Lisa Harper
adoptive
can
mamas
dance.
can dance. Well, in their minds, in my mind, I'm quite rhythmic. In reality, not
that
so
comment
much.
you made about being double spanked up. I feel like that's your suplex move in the ring.
You know what?
Like, here comes,
I really did.
Here comes Lisa Harper
Spanx,
with the double Spanx,
and I got free. I got free. I have grown in my relationship with Jesus that I no longer Spanx, which is probably real obvious, which is why I'm wearing a long shirt. But there's something to me very congruent about liberty with God and taking off emotional Spanx. So now I can't even wear the real things.
We said you take the shackles off your feet so you could the heels off your feet.
You always steal the best lines. I'm like, dang!
But then I thought even more. You take the shekels off your feet, but that's just different.
Look at you. That's very chosen.
Will you scoot back if you can scoot back a little bit?
Yeah,
scoot back that way. If you can
this
back.
way.
Yeah.
I was
get away.
I was feeling very, very connected.
Let's see here. So, in preparing for this interview, I had to read the Bible. Okay, so I did the Spark Notes version just so I could catch up a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
I had to do 16.
Any Bible is good Bible.
I had to do 16 times speed. I just did the whole Bible in the night. So I've got things are happening up here.
You're such an overachiever.
Let's see. So we ask every guest on our show, the podcast that we had got a really important question for you. We ask every guest this. So this is not just you.
Okay. I'm bemused, even though I can't say your name. Oh, great king of satire and godliness. But it amuses me that you have this whole cool rumpled look, but you're wearing. That totally gives it away. That is the bougiest place. So you're wearing old Burke. So I'm amused by the juxtaposition.
Well, we're gonna have to bleep it out because
you are.
It's my favorite.
You're totally gonna have to bleep it out. It's killing your vibe.
No, well, it's funny, and this is this probably go off the record, but I'm a contract worker, freelance guy.
Right.
But I need to write a book on how to be poor and live in Franklin because I've been doing it for about 9 years.
Right.
And I know all the spots. I know all the deals.
You should write a book on that. It's like a poor man's road manager's guide to Franklin. I think it would work.
And I'm hanging out in West Haven.
I'm just from Goodwill, right?
We just, the question just to loosen up.
Okay.
Very, just quick ones.
I'm scared and prepared.
how much money do you currently have? Stuff like that. Nothing
in my purse. You know what? I am so old school that I actually will tell you, I'm 61, so I'm basically, that's like 112 in Franklin Christian years. But I like having real cash in my purse, and I organize it from lowest denomination, all facing the same direction, to highest. And if I don't have at least $100, it makes me nervous. So it just shows you I'm old school. I do not trust paying with my phone. I know. My nephew's 25, and I was like, honey, you can't go out on a date and not have cash.
You got to have a 20. You got to. I was told by a girl back in high school. Her dad suggested you always got to have a 20. That's to give to somebody, parking, whatever. A 20 is good.
Okay, they taught you well.
How much crypto do you have invested?
I actually do have a little bit of crypto invested, but that's only because the person who invests for me has tight skin and high metabolism and knows these things. I don't understand it. She tried to explain the economic basis of crypto, and you might as well. I dated a guy who was a physicist when I was in my 20s, and I read a book called Physics for the Rest of Us, and I was as lost on crypto as I was on physics. Yep.
I think, crypto is well, I'm getting into meme coins because that's a real thing. Meme coins. Dogecoin, Pepe's a frog.
I've heard Doge coins were kind of a thing.
I might do a green room, or I want to do a Christian meme coin because I think we could all invest. Okay. We could all get into that.
Yeah, that'll go well.
Are you my mother?
I would be so proud.
Yes,
I would be so proud.
That's
we could do one of those Discover sessions, like slow-mo running toward each other on cable.
Yeah, well, I think we are going to do that. Do you remember your first word?
I do not.
Do you remember your first
No, but I'm very
word?
distracted, I have to tell you. So kind of ADD. This could be a prophetic word too, because I'm looking at a lovely display you have here in the green room with the drunken botanist. I think that should be my first word because I think drunken botanist is somewhere in the Old Testament canon. That's just the drunken botanist.
Well, it wasn't grape juice. Right?
No, it wasn't.
So,
and botanist, the whole Eden theme. I like it. So yes, my first two words were drunken botanist.
God is a botanist. Isn't it amazing?
God is a gardener. Do you know, I had this epiphany. I've tried to get better. I've spent a lot of money on therapy, but for so long I associated my work and my worth. So unless I was doing something that I felt like was really good for the kingdom or helped other people, I felt guilty. And I loved to garden. And one day I was probably in my 30s, lived in Leapers Fork, teeny little place, was learning how to be poor in Williamson County. But I just thought that's the very first task he gave us was to tend. Yeah. And I thought, I think there is something inherently Imago Dei about digging the dirt. Well, I actually I'm not a drunken botanist, but I do.
Well, I'm sure you know. Well, drunk in the spirit, but but you know that the term husbandry is exactly what we're talking about.
That's right.
And so for Jesus to be speaking this into existence and it going on.
And he talks a lot about vineyards, and there's a whole lot of that creative gardening vibe.
You might know this. I had a wonderful mentor back in the day who was teaching me about John 15, and he was, the vine, the branches, and he was describing it to me. This is obviously coming up on the cross on Gethsemane.
Sure.
And he's walking with the disciples through, and he's looking at and he's just using what's going on. He's talking about the vines, and he's using exactly what they're in. They're in the garden. They're seeing exactly what they know, growth, gardening.
Yeah.
And something. So it made it more impactful for me.
I love the tactile elements of the gospel. I think we've made it way too academic and too sanitized. Yeah. Because when you go, especially if you go to Israel or anywhere, you can find this anywhere in his creation, you go, he used all these tangible living things as metaphors: water, rocks, desert, gardens, and we tend to make it so highbrow, and I think it's our fear that makes us so elitist in our semantics. I love the nitty-gritty botany stuff in the Bible.
Yeah, it's if you ever need a reminder that God might not, that he's able to get down in the dirt with us, and he's able to get from so high and lofty. What God do we know does that besides our God? There's not that many other ones.
Yeah.
The other
Remind
ones,
me to tell you a story about getting snot in my hair that taught me so much about the hypostatic union.
Really?
Yeah. Truly, like the most holy encounter I think I had this whole last year.
Well, I get boogers all the time. So
Well, see, I knew we really could be my long lost son. Could be.
we're going to do some research here. Have you ever done a cartwheel on stage?
I have.
Okay.
I've done lots of leaps and grand jetés on stage.
Well, I don't know if you notice, the viewers and the listeners can't see and hear this, but on the screen in front of us we got some jet skis, and I heard
I love to jet ski.
I heard. Have you ever thought about using a jet ski as a prop on stage?
I have not,
'Cause
but
we've
I
been seeing
totally
some-
would.
we've
If we
seen-
could do just a small baptismal pool, I could just rev it.
Yeah.
I almost wrecked on my jet ski the other day. Have you run them up on the docks? I have to do
No,
it up on
I've
the
never
roller
done that.
things. I almost crashed
I haven't
it
gone
on the
that
dock.
far. I'm not that
No,
extreme.
But I will tell you this: I'm learning to wake surf. So 61
for real?
and wake surfing, brother. Yep.
Like wakeboarding, is that the same thing?
Not the same thing. Wakeboarding is you have your feet
You're in the thing.
and you're further
Okay.
behind. Wake surfing is you're just about 10, 15 feet behind the boat. The boat makes a consistent wave. And you
Oh, well,
surf.
you're not even holding on to the thing.
Well,
or are you?
I'm still not very good. I have to hold on to get up, but then ostensibly you can throw the rope in and just surf the
Yeah,
wave. Now
yeah.
I did cheat really bad. I threw my shoulder out. I didn't throw my shoulder out. I tore my rotator cuff, my bicep, and my labrum because I'd gotten really fluffy. This is TMI, but this is what old women do
Right,
when
right.
we're not wearing Spanx that kind of keep these thoughts
Do
inside.
they have shoulder Spanx?
I should get some, but my health was a little precarious for a season and I had to drop the fork. And so I lost a little bit of weight. Well, in losing weight later in life, there were things that I didn't know weren't tight. I'll just leave it at that. So I was working out last year and I wasn't really working out. I was gardening. I was doing the drunken
Well, that's
botany
That's
thing.
the sun and sweat. So that's the same thing.
So I was moving rocks from one side. I live out in the boonies. So I was moving rocks from one side of our little farm out to the other. And I thought, if I just started just chucking these boulders, it would firm up the places that are a little jiggly at this point. And so I thought I could still, in my mind, I'm still an athlete. I was a college athlete. It's only in my mind now. So I tried to chunk this boulder. When I did, I heard this terrible rip. This is going somewhere. And it completely tore my rotator cuff, bicep, and labrum. So I had to have this major surgery. I've got a hole and a bolt in there. It looks like to keep my bicep on from Home Depot. Well, all that being said, I'm just not as strong as I used to be, and I couldn't pull up. So I bought an Aqua Buddy for old people or people with shoulder surgeries. So it's a blow-up chair that you sit in the water at the lake. I do this. I have no shame.
that sounds
And then the
amazing.
boat just pulls you straight out of the chair, so you don't have to drag. So I can bring it over if you're feeling really lazy.
We need another chair.
We could do it
in
for
here.
other things. I like these Aqua Buddies.
That's amazing. I need to see. I'll find a picture. Don't worry. Let's see.
I'll send you one, but it'll be someone else superimposed in my bathing suit. I will so Photoshop that sucker.
You're the second person I've heard about the rotator cuff thing this week. Maybe there's something in the water.
It was rough. People had told me I'm kind of old school. I'm like, oh, take a Tylenol and don't be a baby. But it was a booger to get over.
Tell me about, just real quick, if you'd like, because I've heard that there was a repelling thing into an arena about 19.
How did you
and
know this?
About 1999, which
Yeah.
was this like the Y2K. I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
The world's ending
I
anyway.
lost my mind. No, I've been doing women's conferences for 100 years, and sometimes they tend to skew a smidge. There's this assumption that you have to have it all together, at least look like you do.
Yeah.
And so I like bringing in honesty, and sometimes the best way to bring that in is levity. And so we had, we still, I think, hold the record for the most women. I don't know what they call it now, Bridgestone, whatever the name is.
You talking about Nashville? This was
Yeah,
Nashville.
Nashville.
Bridgestone.
And it was before they put hockey seating in, so they could sit almost 20,000. So we had this sold-out women's conference, and I thought these women about midday are going to start getting real rigid. And I thought what I'll do is I'll have them shoot me where it looks like I'm lost, because there are all these fire codes. They kept blocking the doors. And it'll look like, based on the video, that I'm rappelling in from, like they'll have video of me jumping up on the roof of the building and coming in. Yeah. What's crazy, the girl I had announce it, they just done like the handy cam all around town to shoot me. all these women, because the girl who went up to announce it got so nervous because it was in the round that she got teary. So they believed her. So they're introducing this video of me running around downtown Nashville. It's just a lark.
Yeah.
And all these women are like, oh, when it shows me, it's not even Bridgestone Arena. We couldn't get clearance for that. I'm just running across some, random rooftop. But then I see this coiled rope and you see my face, and it's all so silly. You can tell it's fiction. But right then, the worship team breaks into All Fly Away, Oh Glory, and I had been up on the catwalk the whole time, and I rappel in. What we didn't tell everybody is I'm pretty sporty, so I didn't think it'd be that hard.
Yeah.
I burnt the skin off my fingers. The only reason I did it is all the crew guys that were union labor didn't believe this white Bible teacher Yahoo lady would actually rappel in, because I thought I'm going to hit the concrete and splat. I did it. Women were dying laughing. It was so much fun. But I was like, oh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Then there was a guy under me with a camera.
Are you saying you burned your hands because you were on the...
Yeah,
you were
it's hanging on so tight.
Got it.
And there's a guy under me with a camera. And, you're on these Jumbotrons. And I'm wearing a harness with shorts. So it was not... It really wasn't an attractive visage at all. And I look over as I'm rappelling, and there's, a 20-foot... Because it was in the rounds. So we had these screens all the way around, and all I can see is my bisected posterior for 20,000 people enlarged. So I'm screaming, trying to get the guy out from under me. But it was a trip. The next year, I only got to do that twice, because then I was working with the ministry, and they took away. They said they wouldn't insure it because a wrestler died with the same getup.
Wow.
And then the next year I came in, they played Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild, and I came in on my Harley. So
amazing.
I like doing things just to go. You don't have to be boring to be serious about your Bible. You don't have to be.
Hey, wait a minute! What the No, say that!
To be serious about your faith shouldn't equate to being hyper serious about yourself.
Absolutely. That's amazing. You're always able to take these stunts. Is it like was it Evil Knievel? And then
I wanted to be
Lisa
Evil
Harper.
Knievel. Now, you're too young to remember Evil Knievel.
It's just a name you grew up. It's just a name you hear.
I got my first mini bike when I was like 8 years old, and I jumped everything I could, and I dreamt of a red, white, and blue jumpsuit to jump things.
Well, July 4th is coming up.
I know. I'll do it. I'll send you some memes, some fresh memes.
By the time this episode comes out, it will have been July 4th, so she'll have done that.
I'm so excited about this podcast. It's going to be like the most epic adventure.
It is. We're just, we're doing it for God.
Well, especially doing it for God and doing it for long lost reunions of old mothers who don't realize the fruit that can come out of prodigal seasons. Because I really do think our reunion, when we find out for sure,
you're
with
right.
23andMe, I think that's gonna really be
you're
special.
Right. Something leapt in my spirit when we met. And it was more than spiritual. It is truly an honor to be sitting with you. Not many. Is it usually you're doing a women's podcast? Is that an assumption?
No,
saying not many guys get to be in this position. This is an honor.
Kind.
This is an honor, and every guy is jealous and knows.
Well, I do a theology podcast, so that tends to be a little more co-ed,
talking about back
which is
porch
fun.
theology. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I had a question because I've got a back patio, and is that okay?
I think that would be actually much holier.
Okay,
I think there's something much more Hebrew about that.
There's basement theology. Well, I thought about that. That's like a video game kind of a thing, getting Gen Z with the video games. And then there's the front porch, there's Cracker Barrel with the rocking chairs. And I feel like that's where your idea started.
Right. Do you know where it started? Was we were, Torrin Wells talking to me about doing a podcast, and we were talking about theology, and they're like, Lisa, nobody wants to hear about theology. I was like, well, yeah, I think people want to dive deeper. They just don't want it to be rigid. They want it to be from people who aren't elitist and don't act like they know everything.
Yep.
And he said, why don't you call it front porch theology? And I was like, gosh, I like that. But there's something that just doesn't quite resonate perfectly.
Yep.
And I thought, I think it's because I'm American Southern. And front porches tend to be a little Pinterest perfect, especially if you're a woman in the South. Doesn't matter if you're a poor Williamson County person or you've got you are West Haven. You just want people can see that. Back porch, that's where you unbutton the top button. You might have a car up on blocks. That's a little more only the real friends. Yeah. And so I said, let's do back porch theology because I want to dispel that myth of you have to have it all together before you really lean fully.
And kind of a way, back porch means essentially you've kind of actually been welcomed into the home.
That's it. Your family.
And you're brought into,
That's right.
And most bonfires happen back there too.
That's right. That's right.
So, okay. These aren't my questions. We did a survey. Okay. Lisa Harper questions to my followers. So I'm not asking this.
All right.
Should women preach on stage?
Oh, you are kidding me. You're going to hit me with this right out of the... that is such a layered response. You really have to dive into socioeconomic. That was a Freudian.
No,
in this economy.
You
have to dive into the socio-historical context of specifically two what I like to call the clobber passages, where Paul, at a plain reading of the text, looks like he's saying women can never lead in a spiritual setting, especially in ecclesiastical setting, a church setting. But if you look at the socio-historical context of Corinth, where Paul was preaching, you see that unless Paul was confused or talking out of both sides of his mouth, why would he give Phoebe the letter to the Romans, which is the hub of our theology as Christ followers? Because in that era, first century Semitic culture, whoever took an epistle also became the apologist for that epistle. Mm-hmm. So when he sends Phoebe to Rome with the book of Romans, Phoebe is the one who's not only going to act that out. So, when they would do reading back then, there was a whole lot of discourse. It wasn't just standing static and speaking. It was almost more of a dramatic reading. But then they would answer questions about anything. And you stop and think about Romans, about justification, sanctification, atonement, propitiation. I mean, all of our really chunky theological concepts are in Romans. Yep. Why would he give that to a female if he didn't think females could understand theology, could teach, could lead? Why would he list Priscilla? Priscilla and Aquila are married. Mm-hmm. And in first century literature styles, you always list the male first to denote their leadership. He listed Priscilla first in his epistles and implies that Priscilla actually taught, probably mentored Apollos, which is kind of second John the Baptist. He says in Romans 16 that two of the greatest apostles he's ever met are Andronicus and Junia, who is a female. Now, a couple of misogynistic Bible translators changed that to Hunius and made him a male, but that's not accurate with the original text. It was indeed a female. So you see all these instances where Paul goes, not only can women lead, I'm choosing women to lead. So you have to look at those unique settings where Paul said, don't lead here. You have to look where he says women should learn in quietness and full submission. For him to say women should learn in an era where one of the most common rabbinical phrases was better that Torah, Hebrew scriptures, be burned than read by a woman. And he's saying women can learn, but what was going on historically there is you've got 12, 13-year-old Jewish girls marrying 35-year-old men. The men have grown up reading, being taught Torah. Right. For the first time, the women are sitting next to their husbands. Well, they're 12, 13 years old. They have no context. And so they're asking questions. They're just derailing the whole ship. And he's like, ask your husband at home. Come back with a little bit. I had that in a seminary class. We had a woman who audited one of our classes. Well, we're all paying a lot of money and studying our fannies off to take the seminary class. And this woman just kind of was coming in for kicks, and she kept derailing the class because she wasn't paying for it. She wasn't taking the exam. She wasn't writing the papers. And that always makes me think of Paul going, y'all, don't disrupt the teaching. Yeah. But it's not misogynistic because he's saying women can learn, which was way countercultural for Jesus to add Mary from Magdala, Joanna, and Susanna to his inner circle. And they weren't just baking casseroles. Susanna underwrote his ministry. Joanna was the head of a security detail because she's married to Chusa, who is Herod the third's wife. So how do you think Jesus was able to escape all of these? They were always trying to catch him.
Yes, yeah.
And every time he slips out before his appointed time.
Right.
Well, Joanna has, the king's itinerary. Joanna knows when they're coming after him. So you have women with incredibly important tasks. I had a seminary professor, my first go around at seminary for my master's, and wonderful school, but a school that held to women shouldn't be in leadership. And the question was asked about Deborah. Brilliant professor. I love this man. Great New Testament scholar. But he said, well, Deborah was a default. And I'm this kid, I'm 30. And I'm sitting there and I thought, that's all you're going to say about Deborah? Like there's 3 million Jews and the best you've got is out of all those Jews, including her husband who is praised in Judges, all you've got is Deborah was a default. I thought, gosh, that just doesn't hold water. So it's to answer that question, obviously concise is not my gift, but there's no way to answer it quickly, responsibly. I'll say two things.
Very good.
One is, I think we've got a lot of women in our culture who are leading from a wound. And so I'd say to the women listening to your podcast who maybe have been hurt over this issue, don't confuse empowerment with being enraged. If you're leading from a wound or leading mad because you've been treated as less than or in some way subjugated, take that to the Lord.
Yes.
Don't lead from a wound. And then for everybody else who goes, what does the Bible really say? Don't take one passage out of context and use that as an overlay, as a hermeneutic of the rest of the text. Be responsible enough to go, okay, where did women lead? Because if we just today did what women did in Scripture, we don't add to the text. We just go, let's do what they did. You'd see women going, oh, well, wow, I can run really fast in this lane. I just think that's become such a... it's skewed when Jerome translated the Hebrew and the Greek into the Latin Vulgate. He changed some of the pronouns from being inclusive pronouns to male only. There's a lot of nuances in this subject matter. To just have a real quick response, I think is irresponsible. So I think we have to do it with a lot of responsibility with the text, but also a lot of respect for each other instead of being such binary thinkers.
Do you fall between like egalitarianism and complementarianism? I think I've fallen into like soft complementarianism. That's kind of what
most of my mentors would be more soft complementarians. I, at this age and stage, because I'm 61, I get discounts at fast food restaurants and I don't have to wear Spanx. I choose to say I'm not on that scale anymore. Because some of the scholars who have spent decades more than I have time to spend studying this very subject, studying it in Ephesus, in places where you really get informed by archaeology and truth, not just a plain English reading of the translated text. A lot of them don't identify with that scale. I think that scale tends to be a bit small. But if I were to identify with anything, it would probably be an extremely soft complementarian. I'm super comfortable with co-pastors. I also think there's differences with the household codes in marriage and community than in a church ecclesiastical structure. And so I think there's a lot of things where there's a continuum, and we tend to, especially as first world Christians, we are so binary. It's either this or it's that. And I'm like, well, actually here Paul says widows are never to remarry, because there is no structure for them to have welfare if they had been widowed. And over here, he says, if you're a widow, absolutely remarry. It's very, very contextually nuanced. And so you can go, was Paul bipolar? Or was he saying, in this environment, here's how you walk faithfully. In this environment, here's how you walk faithfully. So I'm not saying to you, you have to be careful with context, because it can become, we say preference is truth. But I do think you have to be super responsible when you read this inscripturated text to go, don't just read, one little verse or passage off Instagram or off an English translation.
One would be, there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female.
Exactly.
And then people take that, and is Paul saying, there's no male and no female?
That's
No, he's not saying that.
No,
he's
not at all.
talking about who we are
and
in
he's
Christ.
talking about how countercultural they were as Christ followers, because in that Greco-Roman first world culture, there was horrific hierarchy. You either were Williamson County or you weren't. You either went to Rosemary or, you were in a ditch. And so he was saying, no, as Christ followers, there's a unity and a commonality among us. The verb submit isn't even between men and women. It's the top in the Greek, is at the very top of that passage. And it colors the passage. But what he's saying is, there's not supposed to be a hierarchy in our family. The family of faith is, by and large, supposed to be flat. And so, to me, that goes back to Imago Dei, that whether you're male, female, Greek, Jew, black, white, whatever you are, we all have inherent dignity as his image bearers. And we just have such a hard time as humans not superimposing hierarchy where we feel less than. We want to have somebody we're above.
Yeah. Yeah, when I see people memeing better than me, I get jealous. You know what I'm saying?
There's been a lot of things I've seen. I became an adoptive mom at a really late age. I brought Missy home from Haiti when I was 50. And there have been some things I've seen as the mother of this amazing Haitian young woman that I didn't see before. And now I can't unsee it. And so I'm more passionate than ever about going, do not say your demographic preference is biblical. If it doesn't preach in Sudan, it should not preach in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, when Jesus visited South America, like the Mormons say, he said, I'm not just Jewish now, I'm also South American, and I'm going to preach to these people, and this truth is going to land in Bolivia.
That's right. But I do think first world, mostly white, and even seeing things through my daughter's eyes, seeing things through her first mama passed when Missy was a baby. But I think about Missy's first mom, Marie, all the time. And I think, what would Marie do here? What would Marie think here? How would she be happy? How would she be grieved?
Very sweet.
And I think when it comes to thinking about who we are as image bearers, what does it look to be Christoformic? Well, I don't want to just be shaped like Jesus to people who look like me, think like me, walk like me, vote like me. I want to be shaped like Jesus to someone who would vehemently disagree with me as far as social discourse and be able to dialogue with them instead of saying, well, I'm right because I'm following the Bible.
Yeah, well, I agree to most of that.
I'm sorry, I'm so not concise.
No.
You asked me one question, I'm like 12 minutes later.
That's great. I think the more you get to know, I've listened to a little bit of. Well, I've heard you preach some, and then I've listened to some podcasting, and certainly like with Jesus Shaped Life, you are wanting to get to know who he is and living like him, and not just knowing about him.
Right.
That's the common theme I've heard, and that will be, experience. You can't an adoption process, and especially someone who a country you're not from. They're crossing borders. Getting to know what's a totally different perspective in life and bringing it into the family
changes everything. Doesn't it? We were in a third world country last year. And I was with some moms, single moms like me, but incredibly impoverished. And we were building a tilapia farm so they could, we could try to make their community
St. Peter's fish.
Yes.
Tilapia.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I love it. I teach on
Check.
that. I love that,
that came from my mom would make us tilapia.
Oh,
okay?
yeah. And to know how
that.
they were caught and everything. Oh, that makes me love your mom. Well, shoot. So I've got to tell her that I just am a wannabe mom,
Right.
not really your long lost mother.
Yeah. We're still going to do the research.
Yeah, we're going to do the research. Well, anyway, I was with these moms in this third world country, and this one mom, I was talking through an interpreter, and she kept watching Missy run around, play with her kids. They were Haitian kids living at a landfill. And she kept watching Missy, and she could tell by Missy's features, Missy was probably Haitian, but she couldn't figure out why Missy kept running back to me. And so I said, that's my little girl. And she was just kind of stunned because where she lives, Haitians are really stigmatized. Well, then I explained to her some of Missy's health problems, and she was just even more stunned. And then she was just watching us, and she began to weep, and she grabbed both my hands. She has 8 children. And she said, would you take one of mine? Loves her kids. But said, would you take one of mine? You can choose which one, because I just want one of my kids to have the chance at health and a life that your daughter's had. And of course, I did everything I could to explain to her in the sovereignty of God she was their mom, that she would do the best job, that we're going to do everything we could to help her. But it almost felt hollow because I thought, this isn't fair. It's not fair that I don't have to worry about where Missy's meds are coming from or where our next meal is coming from. And so I want to always carry a broken heart. I don't ever want my heart to be immune to the world around us. And I just think sometimes I don't want to diss America. I'm so grateful for the country we live in. Yeah. But I don't ever want to think this is the hermeneutic that our God works underneath. The umbrella of grace is so much bigger than my experience and my perspective.
The Green Room Revival Show is brought to you by TPR, the leading live events company in the galaxy, which is a pretty big place. Bigger than David Leonard's Brim Hat collection. I'm talking Elevation Worship, Brandon Lake, Ann Wilson, Dude Perfect, CC Wines, Forrest Frank, and Blippy. Blippy. See, now you're listening. TPR works on every aspect of live events. Booking, marketing, ticketing, production, venues, large-scale international tours, and annual festival events. Rumor has it they put together Woodstock back in 1969 where Bill Gaither received the gift of tongues. It's just a rumor, but miracles happen. Don't put God in a box. TPR produces and promotes world-class events with messages of faith, hope, and love, which is in the Bible. But isn't that actually awesome? Green Room Revival is proud to partner with TPR because we love entertainment and we love God. It's that simple. It's going to be a great summer. We got some tours coming up with TPR, Ninja Kids live on stage, the Dude Perfect Hero Tour, Chris Tomlin Worship Under the Stars, the Sound of Heaven Tour with Danny Goki, Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake on Summer Nights Worship. We got CC Winans More Than This live in concert, Ann Wilson live in concert for all you in Rapid City, South Dakota. Goodbye Yesterday Tour, Elevation Rhythm guys, they're all on here. And also, if you're watching or listening and you're a church, you got a facility, you want to host an event, send TPR a message on their website or at info@tprlive.co. That's info@tprlive.co. Tell them Green Room Revival sent you.
Sorry, I brought a little estrogen up to Green Room today.
Well, this is it's welcome here. There's probably more estrogen coming here. Let's see.
Good.
Are you thirsty? Because we have this, and this is a green room. And what we like to do is
if you're going to make me coffee, I will not. I will not.
Let me get these cigarettes out of the way. Let's see here. So
yeah, I'm not a big smoker.
If you need a smoke break, though, it's just
not a big smoker.
Stressed. Okay, so we've got.
I smoked one time when I was, I think I was in the 6th grade, and I was hanging out with these older kids, and my parents were divorced, and I was at my dad's, and my dad came home, and he said, "Have you been smoking?" And I said, "No, sir." And I'm a terrible liar. And I tried to flush the butts down the toilet, and he said, "So you haven't been smoking?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Come here, young lady." And he took me back to the bathroom, and those cigarette butts were floating in the toilet. That's the one and only time I've smoked. There was so much shame in it, and I hated it. So I'm not a smoker, but I'm a coffee drinker.
Have you
no, this is the first time.
Yeah, well.
I feel clean. I feel almost Spanx-less now. I feel very clean to get that off my chest.
Okay, so we want to honor our guests.
Okay.
We love getting to provide. We're hospitable here,
right.
So we have some Keurig K-Cups for you.
I love Donut Shop.
And 2 options now.
Okay.
What's special about these is these are the worst rated K-Cups. So we just
they were. Do you know I won't do K-Cups? Because
Well,
it doesn't get hot enough for me. I have to put it in the microwave after I do it in the
serious?
Keurig. Yes.
Which one do you want to try? We have.
Well, you
Donut
said they're
Shop.
both terrible, so now I'm kind of troubled.
Well, we've blown the budget over and over and over. We can't afford the good ones.
I'll do Donut Shop because it does remind me of donuts, and that makes me happy.
Donut Shop Twix. I think we're going about like 5 for 5 on that with our guests.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
And we're gonna.
What's a happier label? Folgers just looks almost sad.
Yeah. It is. They need to update.
Yeah, they do
that.
need to update.
Would you like what mug would you like?
Oh, I'm going for Trump and Goki.
Trump Goki.
I am a big Danny Goki fan. I couldn't wear shorts because I have Danny and Natalie because Natalie's a dear friend from their Christmas tour. I tatted their images on my calf, so I just have to keep these pants on.
Yeah, I like that. No, I'm fine. How are you, Tommy?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
I'm a massive Goki Grant fan.
Yeah, me too. I'm starting to learn Spanish little by little.
Our kids go to school together. His wife is funnier than Danny.
She is.
I mean, she is a trip.
She is funny. She keeps him on his toes for
Yeah.
sure. I think I saw him doing planking the other day. I don't know what she's cracking the whip on his fitness, I suppose. Let's see here.
I think planking is probably demonic.
Planking is if you want to know that you're finite and mortal and you don't have it all together, and I think if I plank, I'd probably immediately get a fever or something.
I had a friend and I worked out with this technically trainer, but she's also a really good friend. She's just very fit and trained. And she would have us plank and do burpees. And I actually liked planking if you compare it with a burpee, because a burpee, they're going to do burpees in hell. They're terrible. I'm not a burpee fan.
Yeah, that's one way to
So
skip.
this is how you're serving my coffee. There's no like mushroom creamer or anything in this that'll make me healthy.
I did.
This is sad. You really think I could just drink black lukewarm coffee?
Lion's mane? What kind of mushrooms do we need in there?
You know, I've just started. I haven't even used it. I ordered because I was trying to be healthy. And if it's late at night and I'm ordering things off Amazon, I tend to order healthy things or things to pull behind the boat. And I ordered this, I think it's called Rise.
Yeah.
Mushroom cream.
RYZE?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I ordered that to put in my coffee. So I haven't tried it yet. I'm kind of scared.
Yeah. What is it?
So I'm afraid it'll taste like dirt.
Adaptogens. What are the things in there? There's these.
Dirt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's dirt.
Dirt.
Fungus. It is a psychedelic, so we got to pray about a few things. That's too hot, right?
No, it's not too hot. There's no cream and sugar. That is like for someone who wants to grow hair on their chest.
Well, we are, in Tennessee, and you've mentioned, some of the boonies. So certainly there's a raw milk somewhere we could grab real quick to make that better.
Okay. Okay.
But how could you?
Okay, because I'm going to say this green room is really lacking if you don't have some kind of cream or mushroom cream or something.
With the answer about the women preaching on stage, I just want to
Did you notice I didn't really give an answer?
Yeah, well,
I left a really wide continuum so you wouldn't get too many hateful messages.
Was that a woman's answer? What was that?
Okay, can I give you a couple of books, though, for people who actually care?
Yeah,
the three people who care.
People listen up.
Dr. Lynn Cohick has a commentary on Ephesians that covers this beautifully and very responsibly. Brilliant New Testament scholar. And then she's a mentor, as is Dr. Scott McKnight, brilliant New Testament scholar. And he's written a book that is more of a layman's book called The Blue Parakeet. And I mean, the title's really cool. You'll get the meaning of the title when you read the book. And the book is more about engaging with God's word as a living text instead of as a textbook. But he covers that subject, again, very, very responsibly with regards to the word of God and what's really in the word of God. But I'd get Dr. Lynn Cohick's commentary on Ephesians, and then I would get Dr. Scott McKnight, John Stackhouse, another guy. I love most of the dead theologians, but these are all alive. Has some great works on that as well. So does N.T. Wright.
Yeah. But I think that the topic is, if you can only with everything you're gonna is it pride or humility? Which one are you gonna do when you're coming under? And I mean, we don't have to go into it, but obviously, did not Jesus go under his Father for his entire mission?
Absolutely.
There's because maybe we're kind of past the idea of people still need to hear about not being scared about the word submit or submission, but it's so I think we've kind of understand that for a couple of decades, but it's still something where people are coming into the faith and they're hearing certain things, they're seeing people on stage, they want to know about. They want to come into a situation being preached to and learning, and they want to have a little bit of understanding so they can rightly read the scriptures and
think
apply it to their life.
Intellectual humility, in my opinion, is not a very high value in our culture, because we live in this op-ed social media world where everybody's got an opinion. They think their opinion is right. And I think when I'm around people who have studied God's word for 40 years, and they'll say, here's the best I can understand this inscripturated text within a proper context. But there's some things God wasn't perfectly clear on here. He's clear about the things that matter. He's clear about Jesus. He's clear about his unconditional love for us. But there's some things that you can say, well, the Bible says this. And it's like, yes, it does. And then over here in this narrative, it also says this. So it's a little bigger than usually you distill the mind of God through our minds and mouths, and it's usually going to get distorted at some level because our thinking tends to be a little myopic. But I think to come at things with humility and to realize humility is really the building block of submission. We hear submission, we think subjugation.
Right.
And I'm like, no, in the Christian context, there's such strength in submission because you are coming under God.
Yeah.
And you're going, no, he's my ultimate authority. I love that. You'll read something in the Bible that you've read a million times, or you've seen it flannel graphed if you grew up right like me, and then you go, oh, I never saw that.
Yeah.
You know, in John, where you've got the guy, the paralytic for 38 years.
Yes. Yep.
Goes to the sheep. You probably know where I'm going, but he goes to the sheep pool of Bethesda, and he's been going there for 38 years.
Yep.
And Jesus comes to him and says, do you want to get well?
Right.
And at first glance, to me, that sounds almost harsh, because one of my best friends was paralyzed in a hit-and-run accident when she was 17. And sometimes when we go to Christian estrogen festivals, I get nervous because I know somebody's going to come up and try to pray to heal her. And God could do that if God wants to do that.
Absolutely.
But her spine was severed when she was 17. So I was like, please don't be condescending. And we were at a conference not too long ago, and a woman said, I really want to pray for your healing. And my friend said, oh, I would love that. She said, would you pray for my patience? I've just been real short-tempered with my kids and my husband lately. And this woman got so ticked because she thought, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to pray for your healing. You've been in that chair for 40 years. I'm going to pray for your physical healing. She got so ticked when my friend said, pray for my patience, very graciously. And she said, don't you want to get out of that chair and walk? And I was like, do you want me to call 911 after I kick you in the shins? But to me, that almost sounds like what Jesus is saying to the paralytic. Do you want to get well? It's like, well, yeah. He's been dragging himself here for 38 years in the hopes of getting in the pool and getting well. If you don't understand shame and honor culture, that question is really different, because that guy has been able to have honor as a disabled beggar. He's been able to provide for his family for almost 40 years. He actually has a vocation in that culture. Rabbis actually lauded beggars who are disabled because they said that gives our community the opportunity to be generous. And so when Jesus says, do you want to get well? Effectively, he's saying, this is going to wreck your whole life. You're not going to be able to provide for your family anymore with honor. For you to get healed is actually going to cost you a lot.
That's great. That's
so
awesome.
I love how the Bible usually says more than we see it on the first, second, or 100th read. C.S. Lewis says it's better on the inside than it is on the outside.
That's sweet. I haven't heard it. I didn't know that. Obviously, I'm not studied like you. I haven't heard that the shame and honor culture applied.
Isn't that cool though? Because
you
don't. I wouldn't have thought of it like that. You just think, oh, please, please, please heal me. And he's probably like, did you ever see? And I'm not advocating this because it has a lot of bad language. But did you ever see that movie Shawshank Redemption?
We would never use bad language here.
Never, ever, or smoke. Did you ever see that movie Shawshank Redemption?
Once.
Oldie goldie.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you remember the scene where Morgan Freeman? He's this old convict, and he's sitting next to this relatively young guy who's only recently incarcerated, and this guy's just mad because of a guy they were friends with had gotten out on parole, reoffended, and come right back. And he's like, why would he do that? He finally got out. Why would he do that when he could have been free? And Morgan Freeman's sitting there. They're like in the yard, and he's sitting on these bleachers, and he's looking at the walls with a razor wire at the edge of the prison. And he goes, at first, these walls, you hate them. And then you get used to them. And then if you're here for long enough, you find that you need them.
Wow.
And I think when it comes to our relationship with Jesus, and I'll just speak for myself, there are places I stayed in a cell when the key was already on the inside because I had gotten so comfortable in captivity. I'd gotten comfortable with, well, this is what it says. This is what it says.
Right.
To have some intellectual humility, to go, what do you think about that? Means sometimes it might rock my security just a smidge, but it actually gives you a much bigger, clearer view of who God is and who He's called us to be. But you have to want to get well. It's
relational. Because this exact chapter came up in another conversation, and Jesus is. It's probably there's multi layers to him and what he's asking, and another I think an addition is the relational aspect he's asking here, because he's not just the magician. Obviously, the man immediately kind of starts complaining or diverting.
Right. I can't get to the pool fast enough.
He's victim.
Nobody's
maybe
helping
a little victim,
me.
And Jesus is like, yeah, that's all. But do you want to?
Right.
The way that I read it, and maybe in the 21st century for me, just is for myself personally, is this is going to cost to know you, Jesus. Do I even want him? Do I more than the healing? Do I want to step into the relationship with him? Because once I join with someone who can heal me, then what else am I laying down that he could do in my life?
Well, and relationships are inherently risky. I think that's one of the things you do so well. I really think, despite your amazing humor, and you have this just incredibly humorous, ironic look at life that I think helps all of us be a little more honest and see Jesus more clearly. I think you build community in such an authentic way. You just drive this rebar of relationship with even people who might not necessarily connect otherwise. And that, to me, that's the fabric of Christianity. 98% of the biblical imperatives are set in the context of community. Mm-hmm. When God says do something, he says do it together. He exists, Augustine says, as a perfect community. God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I think we are so comfortable in isolation that looks connected, whether it's social media or whether it's you going to coffee, but not real vulnerability. And I'm like, if we don't have vulnerability with each other, if we don't say, I need you to carry a corner of my mat today and take me to the roof and lower me to Jesus because I can't carry the weight of my own life, then you're never going to know the inherent intimacy and goodness and beneficence and abundance that God has for us in Christianity. But that, I think for a lot of people, that is stinking scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when it's a way that God is offering. It's a gift to us to show there's a piece that is yet unlocked and yet reached, because you haven't quite stepped into your maybe what he's put in for you, and which is not for you, and it's not just because of you. When you, like you just said with the corner of the mat, like and the context of community, when we let go a little bit of ourselves, it's like a root system. That seed's going out, it's dying, it's growing, and look how much more fruit and everything is coming out and going up and down.
That's right.
But you started right there, and that's all we got. All we got is this seed, and if we would just let Jesus plant us and then look at the directions it's going to go, right? And not to mention the family tree that me and you are a part of.
That we are definitely part of. It's connected somewhere, I'm convinced. I know you can't give away your identity, but what is the first letter of your mom's name?
S.
Okay, so I'm just going to call her Sarah because I think she's holy. So I think I would like Sarah.
Yeah, I think you would like Sarah a lot too.
We could dance together. She could come to my hip hop class.
She loves oldies. Well, if you look behind you, you know who that guy is on the wall, on the vinyl.
Oh my heavens, yes!
I grew up on him.
Oh, Keith Green is the best.
Yeah.
Sheep and the Goats.
Yeah.
I can remember you weren't born yet, but I think I was in high school or maybe first year of college when that song came out, and it was it was pretty turn or burn. He missed his calling as a minor prophet, but that song to me was, you either follow Jesus or you're just a player. I can still remember when he passed. Just that was a shock, almost like Phil Keggy. That echo that went all through Christendom. Yeah.
And even in like the context of my account and CCM and music industry, more and more people need to go back and go back into the Keith Green world a little bit. And
his lyrics were.
They were fun.
Yeah.
I got certainly inspired a lot of what's happening here, but those lyrics are so fun.
Yeah.
And his audacity in a lot of places, and the no compromise life.
Right.
I could go on, but
Well, and I think back then it was really more about, and I don't mean to diss anything that's happening in modern Christian music, but you platform was pretty minimal back then, and money even less so. The pool was smaller.
Yeah.
You did it because that's what you knew you were supposed to do. It was kind of that, that Eric Liddell, when I run, I feel God's pleasure.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there was no, there were no K-Love Fan Awards in the Keith Green days.
Right.
They might have
There was
had
no
Duffs.
repelling from
no repelling from
Bridgestone Arena,
ceilings, no really cool swag.
Times have changed.
No awesome podcast.
Yeah.
And he was really a pioneer. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go for it.
Have you always been funny? And what was the impetus to start? Because
question.
I love what you do, but what was the genesis of that?
Well, this is great. You're going to love this. It really started. I'm the baby of the family. Okay, so there's a little bit of entertainment.
How many siblings?
3 older siblings,
Okay.
so 4.
Okay.
And I had a dress-up drawer. The whole thing.
So you've always been the funny one.
I'd play the Macarena and just dance around. Mom, come look at me dancing in the hallway. All that. I would just be dancing, and then my siblings who were a few years older, like 7 years distance, and then older. I was a little miracle child.
Okay.
Okay. I would, they would be withholding. We didn't really have a Game Boy, but different things like they'd always be withholding.
We could call you Benjamin. Benjamin could be your doppelganger because you're the miracle baby at the end. Okay, we're going to start calling you Benjamin.
I would do little things for them in order to get it wasn't a Game Boy. I don't know, maybe it was like a Lego magazine or something.
Right. Or Now and Laters or something.
Yeah, any little candy.
Yeah.
And so it would be like we'd be on a road trip, and I'd to get the Game Boy, I'd maybe I'll give me a massage first. So I'd be massaging my sibling.
Right.
My brother played soccer, so I would get on a bike and ride around the yard and let him just kick the soccer ball at me as a goalpost. I would just do these.
Sure.
I'm always trying to entertain. Okay, so but our church, this is great. Our church every December would do what we would call the bash.
This is a church you're growing up in.
Church I grew up in. And we would do the bash, which was like basically a talent show.
Okay, I was going to ask. It was like Christian Follies.
Yes, it was. It was skits, songs. My mom would.
I miss skits.
She would
They're the best.
She would take lyrics from a mainstream song and make them like Christian.
So
We'd do,
like Christian Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely grew up with this. I mean, it was just a healthy church culture. We'd be making fun of the pastors.
Sure.
We'd be making fun of Sunday mornings. And so I got involved with writing lyrics and just doing skits.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really great foundational. Laughing at yourself and roasting, and I always loved.
Well, you do it with kindness, because some people you've been around some people where you're like, that's unkind. You always have this respectful jostling. Like I love it because your tease. It's like my friends who are Australians. You tease if you love somebody.
Yeah,
the tease only comes by virtue of relationship. And I always sense that in you.
I saw an article or like a post the other day that was, if you can roast, it's like your relationship with that person goes up 300%.
Yeah.
Of how much you know each other, because I mean, what is it? You know the layers of somebody.
Right.
You see them in a way. I think that there are obviously people that are not saved that are really funny over the years, comedians. But I can't deny, we wouldn't deny that the closer you are with the Lord and understanding Him, joy and laughter is all coming from Him.
Oh,
so it is knowing. I think humor. If you talk to people, they're like, I don't write music, but everyone kind of has a song inside them. It's the same thing. I think with comedy. Comedy is another tool. It's another medium of communication.
I agree.
And that comes from God, just like music.
And your
comedy.
kind of comedy is so relational. Sometimes when you see a cheap transaction, and we've all seen that, where you go, oh, that just didn't feel good because it was derogatory. Yours is, I see you. There's a wink to it, and I
Yeah.
think the thing I love about it is it just kind of pushes our performative nature to the edge, because you're kind of poking fun at the clothes the emperor wears, and you're like, we see that. That's that.
Yeah.
So I love the way you do that, because you can tell the people you poke at the most, Queen Daigle, Danny, you love the deepest. They're the ones you really have deep relationships with.
Absolutely. It's more. It's just jumping right in there with community and everything else. There's the relational aspect of humor is really strong, and in Christian culture we have a lot of layers there too. So there's just a lot of room, I think, to massage and use humor in our. I kind of think of Paul and Silas in prison a little bit. They're worshiping, but it's you got to know that these guys were able to laugh as well. You got to know that understanding, and same thing with Jesus, and when he's sharing his parables, when he's sharing different stories, the humor. Maybe we just don't see it. But
there's a lot of double entendres in the original Aramaic and Greek, where Jesus, I think, did wink. Like, even the Syrophoenician woman, when he calls her a dog, it's not derogatory. It's kind of like a Paris Hilton dog in a purse, You see all these winks when he talks about a camel and a gnat, that you won't swallow a gnat because of kosher dietary laws, but you'll swallow a camel. It comes from the same word, and almost like THERE and THEIR. So it really is almost a tease at y'all have gotten so full of yourselves, but you're kind of missing the main point. I do love, if he hadn't been at least pleasant to be around, nobody would have invited him to that first party at Cana.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're like, there was something so compelling. You have these burly, roughneck, uneducated men, and they all follow him. And the disciples, there were some Hatfields and McCoys in there. You've got a Judaizer, and you've got Matthew, who conspired with Rome. And Judaizers would have killed him. He did exactly what Barabbas did. And yet, by the end of their tenure with Jesus, they're brothers, blood thicker than water. Right. And so you go, how cool is that, that just by that, obviously he's the King of all kings. He's God himself. But there was a charisma, something so compelling about Jesus that people who wouldn't have followed somebody else just fall right in behind him. And I think you may not be quite that enigmatic a leader, but I do think your authenticity leads. What do you do with have you had any rigid, well-intentioned Pharisees who don't get the humor, who kind of go, this isn't Christian? Well,
that's part of, I think the only real indication for me, if I'm looking at my account, is if I get people that are just unfollowing.
Right.
Because I'll look at my analytics and I'll see maybe I got 1,000 followers in a month, and 500 followed and 300 or something, it's kind of a little bit growing because it's very organic. Right. I'm not ever really giving you the punchline. It's a little more dry, and I'm typically just
it's so dry.
I'm just
sometimes I have to think twice. It's so dry.
I'm just I think that's a comedic tool too, is to just put it out there and not explain the joke.
Right. I love that.
And just for the people niche down that might maybe there might be in a meme slide 10 people might really like this one, but it's to them that it's so funny, and other people might not get it, and that's okay. You sacrifice having to please everyone,
right?
And it's like a performance. You just put it out there and just let the memes do the work, or let the talking. You just let it out there, and it's a risk. It's not to gain. I'm trying to catch everybody as best I can. Yeah. I'm trying to make everyone happy and kind of
Oh, no, it makes me so proud because I have very wet humor. And so I want to be dry. I want to be really ironic and funny. But usually what comes to me is very, it's kind of 8th grade common denominator humor. So anytime I get one of your really witty, ironic things, I'm so proud of myself. But again, I love the way you're just such an everyman. I just love the way you love well through humor, and you have really built a community. Mm-hmm. The people who aren't in, I'm like, we don't want you in. You take yourself too seriously. If you don't like this, you are a little too inflated with yourself because you're not seeing the
certainly
gentleness behind
the
it.
Beginning of the account, like I mentioned, it kind of came from some of these roots in my life, but then also one of the main goals was can this person laugh? Can this person that we know
Yeah.
that's on the pedestal, do
Yeah.
they laugh? You know,
When
and
you
just
did,
kind of
when
like,
you
know,
did
get it.
Brendan Lake and Phil Wickham on the parallel bars, like I had to put my phone down. And I love Brandon. I don't know Phil as well, but I so deeply respect them.
Totally.
But it was so stinking funny, and the fact that someone with that platform can, I mean, I think he likes your stuff as much as anybody. And you love going, people who love God and don't read their own press release. What a gift.
Yeah.
Do you ever do stand-up? You have to do stand-up with like a big meme in front of your face.
Yeah, I need to get some sort of mask or something.
You
know?
should.
And
like the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think stand-up's in the future somewhere.
I think you ought to do stand-up before some of the tours you roast.
Well, I need to maybe while you're preaching on stage,
I'm all in.
I'll be.
We just have a spot on you
Yeah.
in the baptismal pool with a jet ski.
Yeah, exactly. Getting a new. This is a new kind of baptism.
I like it. Totally in.
Will you? There's a little cooler right behind you. Will you just
sir.
open that and?
Is like something going to pop out that's going to scare me?
No. It's. This is as much for you as it is for me. Do you see? It's the. I was about to say, I know you're a woman, but I'm not gonna. There you go. You can do this. Now this is actually what I want to do is you can open it up.
Seamless shaping. You are just too much. Okay, let me say seamless shaping.
I wanted you to teach me the ways.
To put it on?
Well,
This is going to be turned into so not a family-friendly show. You're going to lose a lot more followers than you thought. This algorithm is going to go south fast. Okay, well, I will tell you. I will just symbolize it. This is body shaping.
Okay.
And so just think of this like a hug for your lower extremities.
Okay.
And so here's the trick. You've got to put it on one leg at a time because they're real tight. Because, they have man Spanx.
Okay.
And so I actually may leave these for you.
Yeah, this is for me.
Okay, this is
for me.
Okay, so you're going to have to put them on one leg at a time. No, I'm not going to.
Right.
But once you put this leg on, it starts getting tight. So you have to pretty quickly.
Okay. Or it'll snap on you. It'll
cut off circulation. And you'll say works in art in the Bible, no matter what your background does or your hermeneutic. And then here's the hard part, but you don't have fingernails. See, I have fingernails.
Right.
Once you get it up to your parts that aren't quite as lean as your ankles, there's a whole lot of physics come to play. I'm thinking of my old boyfriend who I was not smart enough for, but you have to really get your fingers involved. If you have fingernails, you can just flat pull one of those puppies back, or you can sprain your thumb. And so the best way to put them on once they get up high is you have to do a lot of squatting simultaneously. So you're pulling and squatting.
You do it while
at the
doing
same
a burpee.
time.
Like
That would be the best way to
motion.
do it. It's kind of burpee and putting on the Manx at the same time. And then once you get them up, you want to leave them up for a week or two because it's really hard to get them off.
You're showering in them.
Well, yes, you just
training your body
do all of life in them, and I won't really go into great detail because it would be scarring for most. But once you get them up, you do not want to pull them off, and they will leave marks. I've come in from, I told you, I'm free now. I'm not wearing these horrid Python unmentionables anymore. But I have returned from a K-Love event and had dents that I wasn't sure would go away. And, I'm single and 61, and I don't date that often, so nobody's going to see these dents, but I think I have marred myself irreparably. And then you also, I'll tell you my worst kind of Spanx story. I was doing a video Bible study, and you have to show whoever the producer is all your outfits so they work on camera. Well, I'd gotten so excited because I was almost at the end. I think it was 6 sessions. And I had he had approved an outfit that was, I don't know why I was wearing geometric shapes, but it was geometric shapes. But when I tried it on, I had worn an unmentionable that kind of kept all the fluffy bits a little less fluffy. And I'd left that at home. So they've got the audience there. They've got all the cameras set. And I go to put on my outfit. And the girl who's doing my makeup, who's amazing, Carol Maxwell, who does a lot with the bad.
Yeah, Carol's great.
She's unbelievable and praise over me. She's amazing. When anyway, Carol goes, Lisa, what did you do with your Spanx? And I was like, I left them at home. She was like, you can't you can't wear this. And Carol, I mean, she's so affirming to me, but because it was geometrics, it really was. It wasn't just unflattering. It was disconcerting because I'm talking about Jesus.
Are we talking about like obtuse or acute angles? What
just lots of triangles and parallelograms moving. And
because I wasn't good at math.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It would
geometry.
not have led you to a clear view of Jesus. She's like, we've got to do something. But the audience was set. The cameras are set. I know they're spending all this money on this production. And I said, well, does anybody have gaffing tape? So we taped me from an area I won't mention up to a higher area. So I had completely taped my stomach and my torso. I walk out. It's all on camera. I've actually got a video of this. It's still sold, I think, in Lifeway everywhere, Amazon. I go walking and I'm teaching on Hebrews, and I could not say a full sentence because I couldn't. I was like, and then Jesus said he did. It's just these little bursts because I can't, because I have gaffing tape all the way around.
What was it like?
My stomach.
Ripping this gaff tape off.
I told them because I'm real. I totally believe in vulnerability, so I actually came out with the tape to show everybody. I'm sure those women have never studied Hebrews again. It was so traumatizing.
We won't believe until we see her scars.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, it is funny the things you get yourself into because you're like, does it really matter? I've turned this into such a dog and pony show. But that was my
What's
one.
it like
horrible.
preaching in Spanx? Like, is it? Do you feel like it's kind of an
Spanx,
extra gift?
and
maybe it's a humility kind of thing that happens.
It can be humility. It also can keep you on your toes because you constantly feel like you can't catch your breath. So you're like, Jesus, I need you to breathe. And then you often feel like you need to go to the restroom at inappropriate times because of the constriction. So it does keep you in a real humble place. It keeps you on your toes. So the fluffy bits might be smoothed out, but I don't think it's worth the sacrifice.
I'll say at some point, if there's ever a live thing in honor of you, I will be spanking.
If you spank, I'm telling you, I will. I don't know. I will tithe. I will dance on it. I'll do something. I will repel again. Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Okay.
This is funny. This is really funny.
And even was Jesus shaped life? Was there a connection here?
Christoformity and Spanx.
Yeah.
I need to pray on that further. I think there could be a paper in my future on Christoformity and Spanx. I do love talking about being shaped like Jesus because there's so many places I have accrued information, data about God instead of thinking about being shaped like my Savior. And that has changed the last couple of years for me. I would rather be empathetic, be seen as empathetic than be seen as a brilliant theologian. But I have loved studying the shape of Jesus' life. I was telling you, I was at this women's event a couple of months ago, and at the end of this event, and it was kind of, it wasn't bougie, but everybody was well dressed, looked like they had it all together. And the woman running the event said, if you're lonely, would you just stand up? We want to pray for you. And I thought, well, that's pretty legit. Here in Franklin, when women have, matching sweaters and quilted Bible covers to have somebody be that vulnerable. Yeah. Maybe 30, 40 women stand up. There's like 500 women there. And this woman who stood up on the front row, it was like the dam broke. When she stood up, she just began to wail. And I thought, well, I don't bring much to the table, but I can hug like a boss. So, I kind of just moved down the row. I was on the front row, so was she. And I just grabbed this woman in a bear hug. Christy Knuckles. Yeah. Christy was praying. Christy's so appropriate and concise. So I thought her prayer is going to be like 3 minutes. This is going to be a neat little ministry time. And for whatever reason, Christy caught up on her Bible reading and a year plan, and the prayer just went on and on. So after 2 or 3 minutes, I'm in this bear hug with this woman I don't know, and I thought, this is actually getting awkward because she was on the front row. She couldn't back up. My legs were against the stage. I couldn't back up. So it's this forced intimacy. So I get kind of tickled after 7 minutes. I thought, I need to tell this woman, I'm sorry if this sends you spiraling into therapy. I just meant to show you, you weren't alone. And so I kind of backed my head up, and we both get tickled because we couldn't even really get our heads that far apart. And she said, I'm sorry. And I said, oh, no, you don't have to be sorry. I love this. I love connection. She goes, no, I'm really sorry. And I said, oh, no, I love authenticity and vulnerability. She goes, no, I'm sorry. I just got a big glob of snot in your hair because she'd been crying. And I got, you don't really know what to say to that, thank you. Right after that, they call me up to pray. And of course, I can't go to the restroom. I've got, this, it was very obvious. Well, I go home that night, and of course I take a shower, and I step out of the shower. You know how you have those spiritual epiphanies usually in such
Usually in the
interesting
shower.
places.
Usually,
in
yeah,
the shower.
all the
I
time.
have a lot of shower time,
Yeah.
a lot of peeling off Spanx time for spiritual epiphanies.
Crying out.
But I thought, oh my goodness, I think I've been to 56 or 58 conferences this year, been all over the world. And I thought, I think the holiest thing that I've been close enough to experience was standing next to another struggling saint and standing close enough that I got the residue of her heartache in my hair. And I had been writing about the hypostatic union, you know, how Jesus is transcendent, perfectly God. He isn't a diluted version of God, but he's also perfectly accessible. And I love that juxtaposition. And I thought, I just had this, oh my goodness, the second person of the Godhead, the King of all kings, condescended to a place where I could get the residue of my heartache on his hands.
Wow, yeah.
And you just go, oh my goodness. I love the fact that there are no other gods before him, that he is our only God, that he's transcendent, that he's holy. But it's really the compassionate the approachability, the accessibility of Jesus that continues to slay me. And I do a lot of things poorly. I'm sure you'll get some backlash that I wasn't as comprehensive as I should be about your very hard question about women in leadership.
No.
And there's things I do differently. But if at the end of my life, somebody says she was close enough, you know, for me to cry.
Yeah.
She noticed that a corner of my mat was lagging, or she was honest enough about hers to say, I ache, will you carry mine right now?
Have you or anyone you know been subject to a trailer mess of exploded merch? Dirty shirts kicked around, cheap boxes falling apart, and your merch girl in the corner crying? Well, with Culture Apparel, those days are over. Culture Apparel is a quality merch and apparel service that leaves your merch girl giddy and your customers even giddier. No more miscounts. These hats literally count themselves. No more wrinkly shirts leaving a sore eye for your customers, because these shirts fold themselves in dozens right back to place. We use Culture Apparel for the Green Room Revival merch, and let me tell you, all I need is a slice of raw cheddar and a Culture t-shirt, and my testosterone levels touch the sky. Or if you're a girl, same thing for estrogen levels. Either way, we're both going up. Culture Apparel is a seriously vibrant company doing amazing things: designs, printing, embroidery, shipping, delivery. Their latest client is actually God for this heaven thing he's working on. We love Culture Apparel. We use Culture Apparel. Truly a shift in our atmosphere. In fact, I got an instant six-pack when I tried this shirt on, and all my hinge matches started getting back to me. Check out Culture Apparel, whether for your church, band, organization, men's softball team, or pickleball dynasty. Tell them Green Room Revival sent you. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to lead into the proximity, because I might have shared this with you when we first met, but a couple of years ago, I was at a church in Nashville that you were preaching at, and I did not know of you. I had heard of you.
Most people don't.
A lot of people, that you probably get this a lot, like, man, Lisa Harper came out of nowhere. Where'd she come from? And you might even be thinking sometimes, I came out of nowhere. Where'd I come from? But I was, a lot of these jokes and things, I'm thinking about production, I'm thinking about different things. And we were in worship. And in worship, I was just looking at the lights. I was just looking at, stuff. My humor, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I kind of got to turn it on, turn it off. But God was kind of downloading a little bit to me. And I started to make a note. I got a picture of this. This was July 11th, 2023. And 8:26 p.m., if that tells you anything. And I wrote, it's a little picture of my notes. I wrote, God was just talking. It's kind of like I was looking at church. And I was just thinking, is there another way? If I was starting a church, or if there's another way, what's another perspective? And I wrote a church that looks more like a wedding. Maybe even a run of show in the church that looks like a wedding. And I also said, maybe like a flat ground area. I said no stage. And no electricity or mic. I was just thinking, I was just kind of in a zone. I was in worship, but I was just thinking about, like a no stage thing. This was during worship. Okay. Did not know who you were. Didn't know you were preaching. you get up on stage, you're preaching for about maybe 10 minutes, and then you're like, I'm taking this thing off. You go down to the podium. I'm going to preach down here with you guys and get down there. And I had made this note about no stage, and then this wonderful woman comes up and starts preaching, and she's getting off the stage and getting with the people. And I mean, it was like, it was not, this is not me dogging on a stage. This is me just saying, there is something so special about how you preach that. Do you do that? You do that a few times? Like, where you
anytime I can. I didn't used to do it.
Yeah.
Because I talk smack, but I really want to follow the rules.
Right, yeah. I understand
I think
that.
kind of child of abuse, a lot of molestation in my backstory. So I just spent so many years of my life thinking God was disappointed that he had lowered the bar to let me into his kingdom. And so I just tried to do better, be better, do better, be better. So I could talk like I was wild, but I really was like, show me the rule and I'll follow it. You know, I was such a performer. And as he began to actually convince me that he loved me, he hadn't just delivered me, he delighted in me.
Yeah.
Some of those performative things just started. He started lifting some of those things off. And I'm like you. I don't think there's anything wrong with a stage. Right. And obviously, if you're if you're with more than a couple of people, you need a sound system so you can hear. And you need sometimes LED screens so you can see. I'm not a huge fan of smoke on Sundays, but that's just me. I'm old and I can't see. But when you study the life of Christ, he...
That was epic. That was amazing. Okay, I love that. If I could have it on command, I can.
Well, the Holy Spirit's here now. I just want to
you know what's, doesn't it to you though? Somebody's really starting to preach about something serious. I'm like, why do we need smoke?
Right.
Like, why? It's Sunday morning. Why do we need smoke? But
well,
anyway,
the lighting guys have an argument, but where it's.
I know.
Will there be lighting in heaven? I'm not sure. I mean, God will be the light, right? There will be no sun or moon to the light. Yeah, we know that.
We won't need any. But you study the life of Christ and even his rhetorical style, and it was always very interactive. It was that rabbinical style was basically he's standing and there's a crowd and people can ask questions. And so whenever I do we have a home Bible study, we've been going for 15 years, and I stand in the living room and people can ask a question anytime they want. It's not a memorized gig. We're learning together. One of my seminary classes, I remember just being like, this is an awesome class because the whole point of the class is the least effective style of communication is a talking head. The least, and yet we do it in the church all the time. It's like you've got 3 songs and maybe we wiggle and worship, maybe we won't, and then we've got 40 minutes or 35 minutes. But nobody engages. There's no dialogue. And I'm like, actually, that's been proven that that's the least persuasive and the least effective. So why don't we have a little more interaction? And then I think if you don't really work hard, stages, even the height of a stage can cause kind of this point of demarcation where there's a gap between you and me. And if God is all about community, then even if I have the gift of gab, we're supposed to be doing this in a relational context, not in a performative context. Right. And so there is kind of a method to my madness. Now I try to be real, submissive to whatever stream of the church I'm in. There's some places that don't take lightly to an old chick diving off the stage. But if it works and if they'll allow me, I'd much rather be smack dab in the middle of people. And I love the context of a wedding. Song of Songs, which used to scare the yaya out of me because it's like Danielle Steele in the Old Testament and God's version of the Kama Sutra. But that historical biblical wedding changed my relationship with Jesus. If there's one book, and I love all the books in the Bible, even Leviticus, there's some great joy in Leviticus, but there's that scene in Song of Solomon where you've got Solomon, the real bridegroom, but representative of Jesus, and he says to this regular girl, Shulamite, he's marrying, she's just like me, doesn't have crystals on her cell phone, doesn't get mani-pedis, she's not royalty. But he says to her in front of everybody, with one glance of your eyes, Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 9, you captured my heart. And I was in my late 30s. And I remember reading that and thinking, no flipping way. I mean, there's no way the God of the universe could look at a woman with as many just train wrecks in their background as me and say, you captured my heart.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And so I love, he uses marriage as a metaphor all throughout Scripture. to frame our intimacy. Sometimes I don't understand how guys get that because it tends to be in a feminine context, and I think that could be. Well,
sometimes I wonder how girls even struggle with the idea of the other way around, with like understanding he's not your actual husband, but he is, but he's not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and even some of the warrior stuff and some of the proverbs, I do think there are some gender specific things that can be kind of hard to apply, but the context of a deep, not just I hate the rigidity of religion, but the vulnerability of a love relationship that it has missed me in romantic life. So if you know somebody between 60 and death who loves Jesus and is gainfully employed, that'd be cool. But
on it,
I'm learning. I'm probably in first grade to lean fully into this compassionate embrace of God. For far too long, he was kind of a proposition to examine and not a person with whom I engaged.
It's beautiful to know that he finds that attractive.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
And it captures him.
Yeah.
It's the more you get to know the Lord, the more you realize there's how romantic he is.
Yeah.
And how and I mean that like in everywhere you can really use that word, and he's not binary like black and white in this way, because with God it's like kind of with the kingdom it's like there's A, B, or C, but with him it's like A or B. With him it's like the C option.
That's right.
He doesn't just, it's like the guy at Bethesda, he's not just trying to get an answer out of you, he's wanting to really know and be with you organically in this relationship where you're at, and to know that I'm with you and I'm able to see something in you that you can't see.
And it's so personal. I love that you said that, because I do think we think there's one. I had a young woman yesterday say, well, what do you think the will of God is? And I said, well, what I don't think it is a razor thin edge with one red X. God is kinder than that. He is shepherding us, stewarding us, but he's not punking us. He's not, giving us something that's so tiny and so ephemeral that we're going to miss it. He's kinder than that. He told Samson after he'd blown it 1,000,000 times, don't go to Nineveh. That's the valley of Sorek, because that's vineyards. So he's like, you can't have grapes. You're Nazarite. Don't go to Napa. What a kind God that even though he's blown it 1,000 times, he's still going, Samson, here's the way. Here's the way. Walk in this way. This will be for your good and for my glory. But I think we assume God is kind of this massive, unibrowed kind of disciplinarian, and we've got to fill in the right blank, when instead he's this lover of our soul who really does want to know, what are you thinking today? How's your heart? How can he knows, but he wants that relational intimacy. So the fact that he pursues us, because I for most of my life thought my independence was a strength. And I'm learning the older I get that neediness is a spiritual necessity, that I have to be interdependent with other people. Even with other people, I've got to be better about asking for help. But with the Lord, I spend so much more time now going, I just want everything you have for me. I've got no place else to go. If I'm not tucked right up and under you, I've got no hope today. I've got no breath today. It has been a sweet thing to become weaker as an older, independent woman with regards to my relationship with Jesus. I want to be held and care. I was a good, dutiful kid for a long time. I had a hard time being delighted in.
That is extremely relatable. I think, that's something that, especially maybe for people who grew up like myself in the Bible Belt, and I believe that the Bible Belt is actually one of the most fertile grounds for maybe true salvations for a lot of kids who grew up and then went off to college, and they're kind of postmodern. They kind of get the God thing. They grew up in it, Southern Baptist, whatever. They've heard that all before, and but they never really knew Jesus. They never really participated in the relationship of seeing His open hands and your open hands and letting Him guide you. There's
and knowing that you don't have to clean yourself up first. We put such a high modicum on behavioral conformity that you go, no, just go to Him messy. Don't go to Him with the most sanitized version of yourself. You don't have to curate your emotions. Take everything, take the ugliest, most broken stuff to him. And I would try to do that, but I couldn't really do it. I think I was an emotional agnostic for so long. There was a corner of my heart that just thought, this is too messy for God, or this will ruin his reputation. Or if I knew he was, there's nothing in my life that was hidden from him, but there was something in me that just still kind of felt like if he looks all the way under the hood, he's going to be he's not just going to be disappointed, he's going to be grossed out. And to learn to not hold my stomach in with God, going back to Spanx, has been, that's been really liberating.
Where did the comedy aspect come in for you? Because when I first met you and you complimented me, I was like, no, you're a comedian. I know you're a theologian. I know you're a pastor. You're a comedian. And where did some of that? Where did that come from?
Abuse. If you can be funny, then you can keep a little bit of a buffer between you and potential abusers. And so I learned to tell stories, and I learned to kind of shuck and jive, because if I could do that, then I could figure out who in here is going to be most predisposed to drag me into a dark closet. And so I think initially it was self-protective survival. As it's been redeemed, that's not to say I don't still misuse it, but as he's redeemed that, a friend of mine who is literally a Christian comedian, her name's Anita Renfro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She used to change lyrics and stuff to songs like your mom, Sarah. We're going to call her Sarah. But she said, Lisa, sometimes you'll say things and it helps me uncross my arms. Yeah, and I love that idea to go just, if I can help people with a little bit of levity, I have to be careful. Sometimes I'll be real self-deprecating. And I'm like, that's lowest common denominator if I make fun of my weight, or that's actually not helping people get to Jesus. That's at some level just narcissism in a shamed outfit.
Right.
So let me be careful to not make it so egocentric. But if I can use humor that's not threatening or in no way subjugating or shaming, and it helps somebody go, I can kind of exhale, and they uncross the arms of their heart, then their heart is exposed to Holy Spirit. So I think it's a bridge. If people will cross that bridge with you, then they can dive into some pretty deep stuff. If you'll share humor with me, that's better than a first date and an appetizer. And that will take me to a vulnerable place. So I think it's a gift, but I think it's also as sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. You've got to be real careful how you use it, or you can cut people.
Yeah. I've experienced that too. Yeah. And understand that it is a powerful going both ways. And so you're kind of asking, whether this is a career for me and already for you, like you're asking God to course correct me a little bit if there's somewhere where I'm maybe went off a little bit, but to understand that it's a gift that He's given you is something that He's only given to you. To other people have the gift, but specifically for you, and the way that I've seen you use it. And everyone knows who's come under your preaching feels that embrace. And
I hope so. I think it does. If we use it correctly, I think it helps people exhale and not bring so much of their fear to the table. I was at a Billy Graham Training Center this past weekend, and it's, that's just the greatest place. You drive on the campus and you can tell every inch of it has been prayed for. Yeah. But it also, for some women, I met this amazing saint there who, she still smells like smoke, literally just come out of addiction. And so, she's feeling a little bit like my dad used to say, a long-tailed cat in a room full of walking chairs, not totally like she fits. And so I told her about the first time I went to the Billy Graham Training Center. I knew they had the wrong Lisa. People get me confused with Lisa Turkhurst. She's a much better writer than I am, or Lisa Bevere, who preaches in leather pants. And so I thought, well, they've got the wrong Lisa, because I don't really fit there either. And they have a teeny little green room, a very humble green room, not nearly as cool as you and all your amazing coffees. Obviously. And soon to be mushroom creamer.
We'll get that next time.
I was in the green room and I was spraying my hair, kind of one last spritz, because I was nervous. So I thought I need decent hair. And I thought, oh my God, this place is so anointed. Even the green room smells like pine trees. She was up in the mountains, North Carolina. And then I look at what I'm spraying my hair with, and it was Pinescented Glade. And I just, shellacked my hair. You couldn't even fake that. It looked like roadkill.
Christmas smelled like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, it was terrible. And you couldn't. It was so sticky. It was just comical. So I had to walk out, and my very first time speaking at the Billy Graham Training Center, I'm sure they were like, "Oh heavens to Betsy, we have set the bar way too low."
Yeah.
But I told
you don't
this
want to smoke
woman,
around you for that. Your hair's
exactly,
on fire.
that was very flammable. But I told her that story, and I was like, "Oh, honey." I mean, if there's a hole, I'm going to step in and break my ankle. So I think to use humor to help people go, you may see some sophisticated facades, but at the end of the day, you'll pull back just a few layers of socioeconomic layers or education or whatever it is we bring to the table that really are those things we dress ourselves up in. You peel just a bit of that back and you find we're all so stinking human. We all long for authenticity, for relationship, for home, for unconditional love. And I think humor is a way to peel those layers off a little faster.
It is a way to, if God is saying, we're going to go there,
Right.
it's just another way to do it.
Yeah.
I think that just like with him, like you said a few times, condescending down to us, coming down to us, he's the pioneer. One of the Hebrews chapters in my translation says the pioneer of salvation. Yeah. He's just the one who's front-footed, and I see Jesus as someone who's risking it, and he's risking it for the biscuit.
That's right.
He's going to go there, and if we're going to go there, he's going to use any manner of his
That's right.
his tool belt.
That's right.
To go there.
I love that you say he's front-footed. That's awesome. Yeah, his weight is leading toward us, isn't it?
Is powerful. I mean, the first step is a risk. The first step is leadership, and when we see people, we want to emulate that in others that we see in other leaders, and they just push us to go to follow.
And a leader who will come behind me and carry my stuff. A leader who will. I mean, I love that, the last thing we see him doing before the cross is washing his disciples' nasty feet.
Right.
And you see him giving Judas communion. And you see him, you just go, and they're throwing breadsticks at each other. Who's going to sit at your right? Who's going to sit at your left? They're totally missing it. And instead of chastising him, you see this, leadership that's lived out in absolute, I'm going to lay my life down for you. The humility of Jesus, the condescension of Jesus. One of my favorite Australian theologians calls the incarnation the divine condescension.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So a front-footed, his weight is on his front foot, condescension. I like that. I'm going to blend y'all's two. Brilliant.
Well, and I like, even in this conversation too, the condescending is the other thing we think about. But even I know this is English. It's not Jesus' language. But that word, redeeming that word in a way because it's kind of twofold. The King of Kings leaving heaven is kind of condescending, right? But then also his ability to embrace the condescension turn into something that
something compassionate. I know you're right, because we do think of that as kind of pejorative. But in the context of who Jesus is, I'm like, oh, he laid down his ruling scepter, knowing that he was going to pick up a wet cloth and wash my nasty feet. Now that's the most beautiful picture of condescension. And like you said earlier, submission. When you think of submission as being an intentional serving, loving somebody so well that you'll lay down what you could carry for their benefit, you go, oh, that's actually not slavery. That's love.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anything with Jesus-shaped life? I know we're ending here. When did this book come out? This is your latest book?
Just last month.
So you hold it for everyone. Hold it. Yeah, see that?
I know it almost looks like something that could make the grade on Green Room Revival because it doesn't look cheesy. Usually my covers are kind of cheesy, and that one.
No, we'll do a Lisa Harper starter pack.
Look at there. Ooh, I would like it. We could have Spanx, some bugs, some mushroom creamer. Yeah, that'd be a good starter pack.
This is how many chapters? Do you know how many chapters are in here?
No, I think it's 10.
You didn't write
10.
this.
I did write. That's why my books are mediocre. I actually write every word. If I had any sense,
I stand by this book.
If I had any sense, I would have a with or AI or something. But I'm just old school, so I think if it has your name on it, you're supposed to write it. I'm not a great writer. I'm a great reader. I'm an epic reader.
That's cool.
I'm a mediocre writer. But for me, that is kind of my life's work. I spent the last 5 years in a doctoral program. And so I got to distill these things. I've been walking with Jesus for over 50 years. And some things he showed me in the last 5 years, it wasn't so much that they were highbrow. It just took me so long to begin. And I'm not saying I've gotten it. It's like wet soap. I don't hold on to it. But some of the things of his kindness that he showed me in the context of the hypostatic union, the Trinity, what it means that our God exists as an us, because he knew loneliness would come with a fall. That's kind of a life's work for me. And it may be that have passed 60. And so you start thinking about, I'm running out of runway. But that's been my favorite project that I've had the undeserved privilege of writing thus far.
That's awesome. Everyone go pick up A Jesus-Shaped Life on
you, sir.
wherever books are sold. I looked it up on Amazon, so I know it's there at least. So Jeff Bezos, maybe you should take a read if you'd like.
It's funding part of his wedding, maybe the napkins.
Well, I think there would be jet skis at his wedding as well. But
absolutely.
So, and also found. Okay, you got Back Porch Theology. That's on K-Love. Access
That's right.
More. The whole situation.
That's
Is that like a seasonal thing? Is that or recorded?
Okay, I am not nearly as smart as you. So when they asked me to do a podcast, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I do not have the time. But then they talked about, and you've found this way before I did, the intimacy of podcasting when people choose to put you in their ears when they're on the elliptical or they're on the bus.
Totally, yes.
I mean, it is like you really are in the room together, and it's this ellipses between some people who've been really wounded by church, Christian community, and it's almost like they're still cautiously at the edge of the family, but they've been so hurt they're not sure they want to dive back in. It's just, I've seen such incredible things through podcasting, but I didn't know you could do a season.
Oh, okay. Right.
Repeat podcast. So we have done 52 weeks every year, all 3 years, all new content. Also, I'm a little bit of a masochist, but it's been a labor of love. I've really loved it. One of my mentor professors from Denver Seminary comes on. So we talk about everything you can imagine. I mispronounce every Greek and Hebrew word that has ever been used in the context of Christianity. And he comes on and cleans up all the mess that we've messed. But we get to ask him, he'll say things like we were talking about Acts the other day, and he'll lay some pretty heavy stuff down. But then he said, if your church closed its doors tomorrow, would the neighbors across the street from your church be happy? Would they grieve? Or would they even notice? And you go, we need to think about that question a little more often. So he'll drop just some wisdom bombs when it comes to exegesis, but a lot of it is super practical. We do that. We're doing a women's conference with some great women you love called Found Collective.
Yeah. I might have been, and it's a women's conference, but I might have sneaked in at some point.
No, I love that time you were there. I got so tickled. I feel like when you've got that many women, you need a few testosterone representatives. Y'all are like the rocks that just keep us from flying off into oblivion. I love conferences that aren't one note. I like them to be, I think homogeny is overrated.
So we got your book, we got Back Porch Theology, we got Found coming up. That's in the fall. Yeah. Found is a women's conference.
Yes. But every single time we've had a Found, we have.
I mean, it seems like a place where if I'm single, it's a place I could go to just have ulterior motive.
Listen, I can totally hook you up with some good girls there, since you are at some level almost like a son to me. Found is mostly women. There's a few men who come. We've got a conference called Kerygma in Nashville where I bring in, I want you there this year. You would love it. I bring in my favorite living scholars.
Kerygma is what word is that?
It's a Greek word that's really the verbal proclamation of the gospel. Loosely. I thought it was really cool. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. I had a friend recently.
I feel like there's a lot of K's in Greek.
The English transliteration is Kerygma. Okay.
I'm going to get that tattooed here.
Yeah, you got to be careful with Greek and Hebrew. I see so many people with transliterated Greek and Hebrew tattoos. I get tickled. I'm like, that's not Jehovah Jireh. That's actually, he is my mushroom creamer.
Right, exactly.
But I thought it'd be real cool. And a friend of mine said, your curmudgeon conference. I'm like, we gather grumpy people from all over the world. I just bring in some of my favorite scholars. So Old New Testament scholars from seminaries. We're getting Dr. Michael Bird You've got to meet him. Wrote Evangelical Theology. It's like right next to my Bible.
Wow.
It's from Australia. But they come for 3 days and just pour into us. So it's effectively a masterclass for anybody who really wants to know God and His Word. It's mostly female, but we have so many guys come because they're like, you have Craig Blomberg, you have Scott McKnight. I've never gotten to sit under them.
Wow.
So
that's Nashville?
That's Nashville. Okay. And I just started it because nobody else was doing something that wasn't related to selling a particular product, and I thought we need something for people who want to dive deep but don't have the luxury of going to seminary where it's really that sound. So that's one of my favorite things we do all year.
That's amazing. Well, Lisa, you know, after today and after this preaching at me I've been getting, and the listeners.
No, you've led me. You have shepherded me.
I'm gonna print out a blow up. I'm gonna get Priscilla, Phoebe, and Lisa Harper.
Okay, I'm in. I'm totally in.
The posters, and it's gonna convert.
Okay,
people.
and I have a request. I have a request. The next time we do a meme, could you just at least get a woman with longer hair? I'm fine for her to be 112 and be unrhythmic, but some of these hairdos you're comparing me with are just they're troubling.
It does troubling. It does make me wonder, when is your next karaoke night? Because you know I don't want to miss it.
I could tell you how tone deaf I am. You know, I started a Christian band. In high school.
No, I didn't know that.
Named Priority. This is a whole nother podcast. It was, I can't overstate how bad it was. I was very demonstrative.
Were you the lead singer?
Of course I was lead singer. I wore a dance skin and everything. You know, with a flowy.
Because I seen that footage of you on the catwalk, and that was a good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got something in me really longs to sing or dance publicly, but that's definitely not in my gift mix.
I'm gonna look up on Spotify Priority and see if someone uploaded it.
Oh yeah, I mean
YouTube.
it was horrible, but it was a blast. You know, that's all you could do. It's like I could either learn to play the piano cross stitch and marry a pastor, or I could be the next Amy Grant, which is what I aspired to for decades, and it didn't happen for me.
Well, Lisa, this has been such a wonderful joy to have you.
It's been great.
Thank you for this book.
Oh, thank you for having me in the green room.
Life. Check out the Found Collective that's coming to Nashville, or is it a few dates? It's a few dates in the fall.
Yeah, a couple of dates. Chicago.
Okay.
We were just in Chicago. Okay. LA, San Diego, Sacramento, Phoenix, Denver, I think.
Okay. And thank you for the Spanx lesson, because that's going to come in handy.
Be careful with those thumbs. Don't sprain your thumb.
Yeah, do I need to grow out my nails?
Probably.
Okay. All right, great. Well, as I understand, the band is coming back.
Oh, good.
The music,
awesome.
And they want you to come out and do that moment. You know, it's kind of like a holy moment, I guess.
I can do Running Man. I can do Running Man, and if you'll have Lauren sing, and I can do Running Man, I think people's lives would be changed.
Yeah, I think maybe there needs to be a Lauren and Lisa kind of a
I'm
combo
so in
because
L squared, baby.
And you guys just kind of like tag team. You're like kind of sweating and tired. Like, all right, Lauren, do the Running Man.
I will carry her hats for her.
We better be working out, because that's going to be difficult. There's some heavy ones. There's Mad Hatter one, I think, out there somewhere. And there's some feather outfits I've seen recently. So she's transcending as like a phoenix.
She could wear a potato sack and she would look like Miss America. I think she is so lovely. But I think Lauren.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of overlap, even if we were talking about like the getting with you and being with you, and she has a magnetism about her. Yeah,
she does.
Absolutely. Well, we are so grateful for you, Lisa. Thank you so much for
thank you for having
coming
me
to the green room. We know you appreciate everything that was provided for you here.
I'm taking all of it with me.
You know, and we'll see you.
You need some temporary tattoos.
Yeah, I'm getting charisma.
Okay. No, I mean for green room. I want to do a GRR tattoo.
Well, that's the next thing. We're going to put that in people's slips when they order merch. That's going to be coming. So just be ready. Like I said, the band's coming, so you got to get out there, and there's lives out there that need to be.
I need to stretch.
Changed.
I'm going to stretch first.
All right, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Okay, Lisa's exiting. She's getting back out to stage, and she's gonna drop the bomb out there. It's gonna be amazing.
I get Sasha back into this. Watch out.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's illegal, Michael. There's no way to stop this. Edge with the steel chair.